Hey, Sean here from SpeedCubeReview.com. I have in the past polished puzzles. So for example, this is the Maylung 4x4, and this one I have polished, and this one I have not. So it's not super easy to see in the camera. It feels very different. The polished one is much grippier compared to the one that has more of the matte plastic. The Maylung doesn't have a super matte feeling to it compared to some other ones, but it is there. And you might be able to see here, I'll kind of get the light to shine on this one, which you can see more defined reflection, while the matte one is much more dull. I much prefer the glossy plastic. The new GAN puzzles seem to be all going the route of having a matte finish. And I haven't had too much trouble with the 3x3. It might be because when you turn a layer, you can grip these other ones. Also, at least I've seen it with the Megaminx, after a lot of use, it does start to sort of shine on its own. But the 2x2, the GAN 251, I really need this more polished because it's hard to grip when you're doing certain algs because there's not like a centerpiece to grab onto. So I'm going to polish this puzzle and show you what I do. Now, this isn't compared to something, let's say, like the PVC coating. I'm still actually waiting for a sample of that. I'm asking for a Maylung as well because I still love this magnetic 4x4. I actually might still prefer it over some of the other puzzles, the 4x4s that are out there. So, but that's a whole nother thing. But anyways, it's not compared to that because it's not a coating that goes on the outside. It's not a protective coating. It just polishes it. You can use it to remove logos, which I've done in the past, which this logo is going to be removed because of this. And then also it can be used to get rid of scratches, but you have to repolish it each time. The basic thing you need to do is have something to polish it. So I'm using this mag aluminum polish, and then I like to just use a what's this called? Not microfiber cloth. It's something. I'll put it in the video, the name that I just can't think of. All you're really going to do is put some of this aluminum polish on the pieces and then polish it. If you do it with the puzzle put together, you're going to have to take it apart to clean it anyways because it gets in these cracks right here in between the pieces, and then it completely slows it down. It's really bad after that. So just know if you do that, you're going to have to take it apart. When I did this 4x4, I took off an edge piece, did that one, then next one, and I just kept going around the entire puzzle until I was done. So I'm going to take this apart and do it that way. Kind of take it apart without loosening. There we go. Oh, let's not lose anything. If you want to know what the core and everything looks like, just like most other 2x2s. And this is a side note, I've heard people talk about how different this magnet placement is for the GAN puzzle, and that's just false. This is pretty much how every 2x2 is. There was one recently, it might have been, was it the Volk or something, where they put some magnets in the edges. These you possibly could, with how big those edges are. You can just place a magnet in there, but that's pretty much how all 2x2s are. You have one repelling, one attracting, and you need that because that way they click whatever scramble it's in. And there's not any big trick to this. I'm going to do, I guess, just this yellow one first, or all three of these sides. And we'll start with red. I'm just going to put a little bit on it, and then just circles. And that's literally it. How long does this take? No, there's no exact time. And I'm sure you could even use something that has motorized to polish it faster. What I'll usually do is plan out an hour. So meaning I'll put on something on YouTube, a video, or just watch a movie, and I'll just do this every couple minutes. I'll switch to another side. I don't have a set thing of exactly how long. So if I take an hour for 2x2, that's gonna actually really polish it. I spent about an hour on the 4x4. We've got, let's see here, 24 different faces or sides we have to polish, and so that gives just a couple minutes for each. So already, let me just put a little bit more on here. Also, once you get a little bit on this cloth, you don't actually need to add too much more because it'll kind of work itself in here. But this is it. Honestly, this is the whole thing of how to do this. And I'll show you an example in just a second before I go on the polishing spree and get the rest of this. Now, sometimes this stuff does start to smell So it actually doesn't smell too bad, but it just gets overpowering after a while. Okay, so just done a little bit. You can already see this one on the right is much more polished than this one on the left, just by how the light reflects on it. And it feels so much more grippy already. But I'm going to do a little bit more. Since I have the time, I'd rather go all out and actually make sure it's very polished and not just halfway, then have to do it all over again. So, yep, I'll be back here in a little bit, and we'll see how it is when it is done.
You how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it